The next one is going to be given by my friend Alex Conyers. And Alexander's going to talk to you about a concept that he's been working on for some time. And prepare to be enlightened, everyone, but make sure that you put your cell phone away, okay? He's watching you.
Thank you, Stratton. Thank you, Stratton. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be out here. I'm going to be speaking about something that affects us all that we might or might not be aware of. It's something I've coined called Compu Personal Syndrome. It's kind of an addiction to technology, or I'll get into it. There might be a little bit of, get involved. If I ask a question, don't be embarrassed. Put up your hand. I think we all are probably culprits or affected by this. So, Kim? Where are we going? Compu Personal Syndrome is a term that I've used, and it's basically the replacement of interpersonal reaction with virtual interaction. Compu Personal being this interaction of yourself with a device instead of an actual human being. We're all affected by it, and let's be real. So hands up if this kind of strikes a chord, or you sit around the dinner table and nobody's talking and everybody's looking at their device, or you get up in the morning and your girlfriend doesn't kiss you, or your boyfriend, because you're not paying attention. It distracts you. I mean, it makes you a little bit estranged, and let's look at this as well, the way we raise our kids. Kids learn a lot from imitation. They see what's going on around them, and by association. And I think it deprives them of a couple things that 100 years ago wouldn't have taken place. So in a lot of ways, we're as connected as ever, but in a lot of ways, we're more disconnected from each other than ever. These devices and technology, they preoccupy us, they suck us in. We create this virtual persona that we buy into, and we believe that it exists, but it doesn't really. Life is a fluid and constant thing, and virtual reality, or whatever you want to term it, is not. It's stagnant and fixed. So these are a couple of symptoms that you could probably relate to. I think the last one, you start ignoring what's happening and going on around you. And there's side effects to this. So a low attention span. You believe everything should be instantaneous. The internet doesn't work as fast as you want it to. Your Amazon delivery isn't there. You can't talk on somebody across the world on Skype. And that kind of creates this decreased patience. Like, we believe a speed of light mentality should be correct. Whereas, come on, patience is a virtue. 100 years ago, it was very different. And so, this leads to a couple things. Poor social development. Facebook is raising your children. Pornhub teaches them sexuality. Instagram acknowledges and loves them. It's just a kind of weird world that we have to get used to. And the diminished memory is a fun one. Just Google it. Why remember anything? This all leads to narcissism, this craving for admiration. You forget about empathy and sensitivity, and it can lead to a bit of materiality and shallowness, and the skewed reality of basically being so attached to this stuff and art imitating life. And then we get into the loneliness and anonymity that's created. Oh, everybody's happy on Facebook because I see them all smiling. Well, no, they might not be, but they're going to pretend to be. And TMI is a big one. So we are constantly overwhelmed with the amount of information out there. Like, every day, either you're basically going to care a lot, or you're going to be so scared that you can't get out of bed in the morning. And so you take it and you extrapolate a little bit. If you send this many texts, and think about how many pictures a 1-year-old has at the moment, like any 1-year-old, it's just ridiculous. So, like, a quick hands up, who has a smartphone, who has the internet? Come on, you liars, I know a couple more do. Pretty much everybody. We all experience it, and there's lots of goods associated, but there's a lot of bads too that we kind of need to acknowledge or be kind of more self-aware about. So, these are a couple of the things, and I don't want to be too depressing, but suicide in general is up around the world, and at least in Canada and the US, where I did more research on, these are pretty staggering, 135% increases among these age groups. And we're kind of walking off a cliff in a lot of ways, not thinking about it. This is not just for adolescents, but adults as well. These mental disorders are on the rise, and I think we all kind of suffer from it in some form or another. This anxiety of being away from our phone or having to be constantly connected. So it's more about being aware and not being a slave. You're not controlled by these things. You are the master in a lot of ways. They are your tool, not your owner, right? So you don't have to respond right away all the time. And just kind of be aware. You don't be addicted to it. There's a couple more stats in the next two slides that are about global spending on wellness, and it's hard to try kind of prove causation that, like, if we've got increased technology use and increased mental disorders, that obviously the two are related. But I would say that there is some of that, and so it's more self-help and medicating. So think about yourself and practice a bit of introspection, and I think that's kind of a useful way of thinking about it. My real hypothesis is that if you do your own research and you look at the trends, that there is a big side effect to having technology, and we should be more aware of it. So, think about charging. You charge your phone, but you deplete your brain. You're spending this overwhelming amount of energy to keep up with stuff that you're just constantly chasing, and you can never really keep up with. So break the bad tech habits, put the device down every once in a while, kind of think about it, look off into the sunset if you have to. Look into the mirror, not the selfie camera. Don't let it control you. Be present. Give attention to the loved ones around you, because they matter a lot more than the person who's sending you messages about something you don't care about. And if you think, how do you cure a disease? Remedies. No? Disconnect every once in a while. A couple years ago, I gave up social media for Lent, and it was incredible how freeing that was, to 40 days of just no Facebook. Oh my God. Yeah, turn it off, tune out, be mindful, stay present. Anxiety, stress, depression, all that mental crap is going on, but you are in charge, and tech is really a tool. It's like a hammer or saw. It's not dangerous in and of itself, but it's how you use it, right? So you can take control and you can be the master of it. So thank you.
Who's got questions for Alex? We've got one here in the front, Christina. So she said, how often do you say disconnected or connected with whatever's easiest to say?
Yeah, something I didn't get to put in there is like an addiction. If we defined it by dependence, we're all addicted to technology, right? So we have to use it because I work and I need to be responsive. But on a Saturday or Sunday, leave your phone at home, or, don't pull your phone into the bedroom when you go to sleep so it's not there and you don't check it in the morning, or no phones at dinner or meals. So personally, I try and do that, but I don't have any strict rules.
Yes, in the front here.
My girlfriend's just like that, and it's so easy to deal with her. Hey, oh yeah, the voicemail. Just kidding. No, I completely agree, but I think there's definitely the adolescence and the generational changes that we've seen with technology are worlds apart. Like the way somebody that grows up now versus 100 years ago versus 20 years ago, it's so different. And that's why I think kids, we need to set good examples and good habits and reinforce that, and also be aware of ourselves and how it might afflict us.
Yes, sir.
I think we need to make a distinction between business-related information overload and personally inflicted information overload.
Yes. Like that. Yeah.
I don't really recommend trying to set rules or things around any one particular person's life. I believe everybody has the, you know, self-guided, this is good, this is bad, affects me, and it affects everybody else differently. With the personal work, I don't know. It's difficult to say. You know, some people love work, and some people don't really want to be connected to it. And I don't know if that answers your question, but I can see the distinction. But at the same time, it's not very easy to start pulling it on. I think it causes anxiety, no matter what. You know, a work email that I don't respond to is actually probably more stressful in my life than some personal things I don't respond to, and that's not good for me as a person if I feel it's 7 o'clock at night and I have to respond while I'm at dinner. So maybe that answers how I don't know, it's tough.
Louis?
What are your thoughts on the effects of social media on hyper-normalization of society?
The hyper-normalization of society, that it's basically, I mean, it's polarizing as well, let's be real. The most loud voices in, take Bermuda as an example, are the ones you hear of and from most frequently. They are either on one side of the spectrum or the other, the loudest. I wouldn't call hyper-normalization, but I could see maybe why it would be, but yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much, Alex.